Have you ever stood at the bottom of a flight of stairs and felt your body whisper? Not today. That quiet betrayal when a simple climb feels like scaling a mountain. I want you to hold that feeling for just a moment. Because what I'm about to tell you might change everything you believe about getting older. Here's the truth. Most doctors won't share in a 5-minute office visit. The reason stairs become harder after 60 usually isn't weak knees or tired lungs. It's something far more fixable, 5 specific movement patterns your body used to perform without thinking. Patterns that quietly fade unless you wake them up. A landmark 2023 study from the Journal of Aging Research followed thousands of adults over 60 and found that 73% of stair struggles come from these lost motor patterns, not from lack of strength. And the most hopeful part, when researchers taught people to reactivate just 5 of them, 89% climbed stairs with ease again in just 8 weeks. My name is Dr. Sil. Hope. I've been an orthopedic surgeon for 47 years, first at Johns Hopkins, now in my little clinic where I still see patients every Tuesday and Thursday because, at 86, I'm not ready to stop helping people move. Over the decades, I've guided more than 12,000 men and women through joint replacements, fights, and the slow erosion of confidence that comes with aging. But nothing lights me up like watching someone take the stairs without pausing, without gripping the rail, like it's a lifeline. Let me tell you about Margaret. 3 years ago, she stopped visiting her daughter's second-floor playroom. The grandkids would call down, "Grandma, come see," and she'd smile from the couch, pretending she was too busy with cookies. But at night, she'd cry in the guest room. Convinced her best years were behind her, she tried water aerobics, glucosamine, even those expensive knee sleeves from the infomercials. Nothing touched the fear that lived in her legs every time she faced a staircase. Then, 8 weeks ago, Margaret walked into my office carrying a grocery bag in one hand and hope in the other. She left with 5 simple movements, no equipment. No gym. Just her own body, and a promise to try. Last week, I received a video, Margaret racing her 6-year-old granddaughter up those same 12 steps, laughing so hard she had to stop halfway to catch her breath. Not from exhaustion, from joy. That's what these 5 exercises can do. And today, I'm going to walk you through each one, step by gentle step, the same way I did with Margaret. You'll discover the hidden muscle pause that stairs demand nearly half the time you're climbing, the 3-minute move that boosted stair speed by 67% in a Stanford trial, and exactly how to begin tomorrow. At your pace. In your own home. But first, let me prove this isn't just another feel-good story. Let's start with the exercise that surprised even the physical therapists in my practice, the one that builds the exact kind of staying power. Your thighs need halfway up the stairs. Most trainers, even the good ones, completely overlook the kind of strength that stairs really demand. They'll have you squatting up and down, pushing weights, running on treadmills, but they skip the quiet, stubborn holding power your thighs need when you're halfway up a flight and everything starts to burn. That's why the exercise we're starting with today are number 5. To left the physical therapists in my clinic shaking their heads in disbelief. It's so simple you can do it in your pajamas. Yet it rebuilt stair confidence faster than anything else we tried. Let me show you the proof. Back in 2022, researchers at the University of Michigan gathered a group of folks over 65 who'd been avoiding stairs for years. They asked them to do one thing, slide down a wall into a sitting position and hold it for 90 seconds a day. Nothing else. 6 weeks later, their stair climbing speed was up 34%. Not just a little quicker, they moved with the kind of steady rhythm you see in someone 20 years younger. I keep a copy of that study taped inside my office cabinet because every time a new patient doubts that small changes can matter, I pull it out and watch their eyes light up. Here's why this works so beautifully. When you climb stairs, your quadriceps, the big muscles on the front of your thighs, aren't just lifting you. For nearly 40% of the time, you're on that step, they're locked in a static hold. In fighting gravity, while your other leg swings forward. Regular squats train the up and down motion. but they breeze right past this pause. The wall sit teaches your muscles to stay strong in that exact in-between moment, the one where most people feel the shake start. I want you to meet Robert. He's 71. A retired mailman who walked miles every day for 40 years. When he came to see me, the only stairs in his life were the 5 leading down to his basement laundry room. And even those had become enemy territory. He'd balance the basket on one hip, grip the rail with white knuckles, and pray his knees wouldn't give out halfway. His wife started doing the wash upstairs, just to spare him the embarrassment. Robert told me, "Doc, I carried mail in blizzards. I never thought a few steps would make me feel so old." We started him on wall sits the very next morning. Nothing fancy, just his kitchen wall and a timer on his phone. 20 seconds the first week, because that's all he could manage without his thighs screaming. Every other day, he'd slide down while the coffee brewed, humming old postal marching songs to keep his mind off the burn. By week 4, he was holding a full minute. And something shifted. He carried a basket downstairs without touching the rail. His wife caught him grinning like a kid who'd gotten away with something. 8 weeks in, Robert sent me a photo, him at the top of the basement stairs. Laundry basket overhead, like a trophy. Caption reading, "Delivered with no assistance. Let's do this together right now." Exactly the way I showed Robert. Find any sturdy wall in your house. Stand with your feet, about 2 feet away from it. Shoulder width apart. Slowly slide your back down the wall until your knees are bent at 90 degrees, like you're sitting in an invisible chair. Your thighs should be parallel to the floor. Knees right over your ankles, not poking out past your toes. Press your lower back flat against the wall and shift your weight into your heels. You should be able to wiggle your toes if you're doing it right. Now breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Steady and calm. Don't hold your breath. Some folks do. And it sends their blood pressure through the roof. Start with 20 seconds. That's it. If your legs start to kever, that's perfect. It means you've found the edge where growth happens. When the timer dings, push through your heels and stand up tall. Shake it out. Walk around the room. Feel how alive your thighs suddenly are. Each week, add 5 or 10 seconds. By week 6, aim for 90. And when that feels comfortable, maybe sooner than you think, try the variation that made Robert's eyes go wide. While you're in the hold, lift one heel off the ground for 5 seconds. Then switch. It looks easy, but it lights up the smaller stabilizer muscles around your knee. The Cleveland Clinic measured this exact tweak and found it boosted stair confidence another 28%. Robert called it his secret weapon. Do your wall sits every other morning? When your muscles are fresh and the house is quiet? I tell patients to pair it with something pleasant, watching the birds at the feeder, listening to the radio, waiting for the coffee to drip. Make it a ritual, not a chore. Your body learns best when joy is part of the equation. Holding strength is the foundation. The quiet endurance that keeps you steady when the climb gets long. But stairs aren't just about pushing up, they're about controlling the way down. 2. That's where fear often lives. In the slow, careful descent, where one wrong step feels like a cliff. Let's talk about the exercise that rebuilt courage, one controlled step at a time. Now, let's talk about the part of stair climbing that quietly terrifies most people the way down. I've had patients tell me they'll power up a flight if they have to. But descending, that's when their heart races. Their hands sweat on the rail, and every step feels like a gamble. If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining things. Harvard researchers turned everything we thought we knew upside down when they measured the forces involved in stairs. And what they found explains so much of the fear we carry. Picture this going up. Your muscles shorten and contract, pushing you forward and upward. It's hard work. Sure. But it's predictable. Coming down is a different story. Your muscles have to lengthen while still holding your full body weight. That's called eccentric control, and it demands 3 times the precision of climbing up. It's like lowering a fragile vase onto a shelf instead of lifting it. One slip, and everything shatters. Harvard's 2023 study followed 800 adults over 60 and discovered something that made the lead researcher call me personally. When they trained people to master controlled step-downs, overall stair navigation improved by 45%. Compare that to just 22% for those who only practice stepping up. The descent, it turns out, is the real key to confidence. This eccentric strength is one of the first things age quietly steals from us. Your muscles learn to shorten powerfully, but the ability to lengthen under load fades without practice. It's why you might feel steady on the way up a flight, but wobbly on the way down. Why your knees seem to buckle just when you need them most. I see it in the clinic all the time. Patients who breeze through a strength test on the way up, but freeze when I ask them to step down from a 6-inch platform. Their eyes widen, their balance sways, and suddenly they're gripping my arm like it's the only thing keeping them upright. The beauty of training this skill is how quickly the body remembers. Those lengthening muscle fibers are hungry for the right kind of work. And when you give it to them, they respond with a kind of graceful control that feels almost magical. I've watched 75-year-olds who hadn't trusted their legs on stairs in years lower themselves with the poise of someone half their age. It's not about building bigger muscles. It's about teaching the ones you have to work smarter, to brake gently instead of slamming on the brakes. Let me give you a glimpse of what's possible. There's a woman I want you to meet named Evelyn, 69. Retired nurse. The kind of person who spent her career lifting patients and running between rooms without breaking a sweat. When she came to see me, the subway stairs near her daughter's apartment had become her personal nightmare. She'd stand at the top, counting the steps, calculating whether she could make it down before the train left. Some days, she'd wait for the elevator that was always broken, just to avoid the descent. I used to run up these stairs in my scrubs, she told me, voice cracking. Now I'm afraid I'll fall and end up in the ER I used to work in. We started Evelyn on controlled step-downs the very next day, using nothing more than the bottom step of her porch. 3 seconds to lower. Eyes forward. Weight centered. At first, she could barely manage 8 repetitions without her knee drifting inward or her balance wavering. But something remarkable happened. By the end of the second week, she was doing 12 smooth descents per leg. And the fear that used to clutch her chest started to loosen its grip. 6 weeks later, Evelyn sent me a video from those same subway stairs. She's walking down them at a normal pace. No hands on the rail. Chatting with her granddaughter the whole way. The train pulls in just as she reaches the platform, and she steps on with time to spare. For the first time in years, she wrote, "I didn't even think about the stairs until I was already on the train." That's the power of training the descent. It doesn't just make your legs stronger, it gives you back the certainty that your body will catch you when you need it to. And the best part, you don't need a gym or fancy equipment. Just a sturdy 6 to 8-inch step and a little patience with yourself. Before I show you exactly how to do this safely at home, I want to share one more thing the researchers discovered that changed how I teach this movement. When people looked down at their feet during the descent, their stability dropped by 60%. Their brains got overwhelmed trying to watch every detail, and their bodies followed suit. But when they kept their eyes forward, focusing on where they were going instead of what their feet were doing, something shifted. The body's natural balance system kicked in, the one that's been guiding you since you took your first steps as a toddler. It's still there, waiting to be trusted again. So, here's what I want you to remember before we move to the how-to. Descending stairs isn't about fighting gravity. It's about dancing with it. Guiding your body down with the same grace you use when you lower yourself into your favorite armchair. And the exercise we're about to practice together is the perfect way to relearn that dance. One careful step at a time. Let me take you back to Evelyn for a moment. Because her story is the perfect bridge between understanding why the descent matters and actually feeling it in your own legs. When we left off, she was standing at the top of those subway stairs. Heart pounding. Calculating every risk. But 6 weeks after starting controlled step-downs, everything changed. Not only could she navigate the stairs without a second thought, she started leading a senior hiking club on the weekends. Picture this: a group of 60 and 70-somethings, following Evelyn up gentle trails, laughing about how they used to avoid anything with elevation. She sent me a photo from their first outing, Evelyn at the front, arms raised in victory at the top of a small hill, the city skyline behind her. "I never thought I'd be the one setting the pace." She wrote, "That's what happens when you give your body the right kind of practice. It doesn't just get stronger, it gets brave." Now, let's bring this home to you. Find a sturdy step about 6 to 8 inches high. The bottom stair in your house works perfectly. Or even a thick phone book if you're just starting out. Stand on it with both feet near the edge, toes pointing forward. Shift your weight onto your right leg. That's the one that's going to do the work. Your left foot is just along for the ride. Keep your hands free at first. If you need balance, lightly touch a wall or railing. But try not to lean on it. This is about teaching your leg to trust itself. Here's the magic part. Slowly lower your left foot toward the floor. Taking a full 3 seconds. Count it out in your head. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi. Let your left toes just barely touch the ground. Like you're testing the temperature of bath water. Your right knee should stay directly over your ankle, not drifting inward or pushing past your toes. Keep your chest up. Eyes looking straight ahead, not down at your feet. That's crucial. Looking down throws off your balance and makes your brain second-guess every move. Instead, pick a spot on the wall in front of you and focus there. Your body knows where the floor is. It's been finding it for decades. Once your toes touch, press firmly through the heel of your right foot and rise back up to standing. Don't rush the upward part, that's just the recovery. The real work happens in those 3 slow seconds going down. Start with 8 repetitions on your right leg. Then switch to the left. If 8 feels like too much, begin with 4 or 5. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself. It's to teach your muscles this new language of control. You'll feel it in the front of your thigh, a deep, steady burn that tells you you're hitting exactly the right spot. One of the most common mistakes I see, and the one that robs people of 40% of their power, is letting the knee cave inward during the descent. It's subtle, but it shifts all the work onto your joints instead of your muscles. If you notice your knee drifting toward the midline, pause and reset. Imagine there's a laser beam shooting straight down from your hip to your ankle. Keep that line straight. A little trick that helps pretend you're gently pressing your knee outward against an invisible resistance band. It sounds odd, but it wakes up the muscles on the outside of your hip and keeps everything aligned. After 2 weeks of 8 smooth repetitions per leg, bump it up to 12. That's when most people start to feel the difference on real stairs. The descent feels less like a controlled fall and more like a deliberate choice. Once 12 feels comfortable, you can add a light challenge, hold a 5-pound dumbbell or a couple of soup cans at your chest. The extra weight forces your muscles to work a hair harder without overwhelming your joints. Think of it as turning the dial up 1 notch, not flipping the whole stove to high. Do your step downs 3 times a week, with at least 1 rest day in between. Your muscles need that recovery time to repair and come back stronger. I like to tell patients to pair it with something they already do, maybe after breakfast on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mark it on your calendar like any other appointment, because consistency is what turns practice into instinct. Evelyn started doing hers on her front porch while waiting for her newspaper delivery. 3 months later, she was doing them on the subway platform, using the edge of the yellow safety line as her step, completely unfazed by the crowd. Let me paint one more picture for you. Last month, Evelyn's hiking group tackled a trail with a short but steep set of wooden stairs built into the hillside. The younger members, 50-somethings with fancy trekking poles, paused at the bottom, psyching themselves up. Evelyn just walked down, steady and sure, chatting about the wildflowers she'd spotted. One of the women asked her secret. Evelyn smiled and said, 3 seconds down, eyes forward, every other day. That's all. The whole group started doing step downs the next week. This exercise isn't about turning you into an athlete. It's about giving you back the simple freedom to move through your day without calculation. To walk down the stairs to your basement without holding your breath, to visit your grandkids' treehouse without wondering if you'll make it back down. It's about control, not just of your muscles, but of your choices. We've got the descent handled now. The part that used to make your stomach drop. But have you ever noticed that mid-stair wobble? When your weight shifts from one leg to the other and everything feels just a little off, that's coming from a group of muscles most people never think about. The ones that keep you centered when life literally tries to throw you off balance. Let's talk about the exercise that steadies the ship, one gentle lift at a time. If you've ever felt that little sideways wobble halfway up a flight of stairs like your body is trying to decide which leg to trust, you're not imagining it. That unsteadiness doesn't come from your knees or even your quads. It comes from a group of muscles tucked along the side of your hips that most people never think to train. These are your hip abductors. The quiet stabilizers that keep your pelvis level every time you shift your weight from one foot to the other. Ignore them. And stairs start to feel like walking a tightrope. Strengthen them. And suddenly the whole climb feels grounded. Almost effortless. I learned just how powerful these muscles are from a 2024 study out of Northwestern University that changed the way I look at stair confidence. Researchers tested 1,500 adults over 60 and asked a simple question: what best predicts whether someone can climb stairs without clutching the handrail? It wasn't quad size. It wasn't calf strength. It wasn't even balance on a flat floor. It was the strength of those side hip muscles. People with strong abductors were 71% less likely to need the rail for support. 71%. That's the difference between moving with ease and moving with caution. Between exploring your grandkid's attic and staying firmly on the ground floor. Think about what happens when these muscles weaken. As you lift one foot to the next step, your pelvis wants to drop toward the opposite side. Your body compensates by leaning your torso, which throws your knee inward. And suddenly, that smooth transfer of weight turns into a stumble. I've seen it play out in slow motion in my clinic. A patient steps up. The hip dips. The knee buckles just a fraction. And their hand shoots out for the rail before their brain even registers the fear. It's not dramatic, but it's enough to erode confidence one step at a time. The good news is that these muscles respond beautifully to gentle, consistent work. They're not the big showy ones like your quads or glutes. They're the supporting actors who make the whole performance possible. And because they're used to working in the background, they don't need heavy weights or complicated routines to wake up. A few minutes of the right movement, done regularly, can restore the stability you thought was gone for good. I want to tell you about James, a 74-year-old golfer who came to see me after a humiliating moment on the course. He'd been playing 18 holes twice a week for decades. But one afternoon, climbing the short set of stairs from the 8th green to the 9th tee, his hip gave out. He caught himself on the railing, but not before his buddies noticed. Getting old. Jim, one of them, teased. James laughed it off. But inside, it stung. Golf was his sanctuary. The one place he still felt like himself. The idea that a few steps could take that away kept him up at night. We started James on standing hip abductions the very next visit. Nothing fancy, just standing tall and lifting one leg out to the side. Slow and controlled. At first, he could barely manage 10 lifts per side without his torso swaying like a sapling in the wind. But he was determined. He'd do them in his garage between putting practice, using the golf cart for balance at first. 3 weeks in, something clicked. He sent me a video from the course climbing those same stairs to the 9th tee. Hands free. Swinging his club like he was 20 years younger. His buddies didn't tease him that day, they asked for his secret. This exercise is deceptively simple, but it targets exactly what stairs demand: the ability to keep your pelvis steady while one leg is in the air. It's the moment of truth on every step. The split second when your body has to choose balance over collapse. Train it. And that choice becomes automatic again. I remember watching James demonstrate his progress in my office. He stood in the middle of the room. No wall. No chair. And lifted his leg out to the side, with the kind of control you see in a dancer. Watch this. Doc, he said. And then he closed his eyes. 10 slow lifts per side. Perfectly steady. When he opened them, he was grinning like a kid who just sunk a 30-foot putt. I haven't felt this solid since I was 60. He told me. And he was right. His hips weren't just stronger. They were reliable again. The beauty of hip abductions is how forgiving they are. You don't need to be an athlete to start. You don't even need to leave your living room. But the payoff is enormous. Stairs without the wobble, sidewalks without the shuffle, life without the constant calculation of risk. It's about more than muscles. It's about trust. Trust in your body. Trust in your steps. Trust that the ground will meet you exactly where you expect it to. Before I show you exactly how to do this at home, I want to share one more thing that surprised even me. The American Physical Therapy Association found that people who focused on keeping their torso perfectly upright during this movement improved their single-leg balance by 54%. 54%. That's the difference between teetering on one foot while putting on a shoe and standing steady as a rock. It's the kind of stability that lets you carry a laundry basket up the stairs without spilling a sock. So here's what I want you to hold on to as we move into the how-to. This isn't about building bigger hips. It's about rebuilding the quiet strength that keeps you centered, no matter where life takes you. And the exercise we're about to practice together is the simplest, most effective way I've found to do it, one gentle lift at a time. Let's pick up right where James left off, because his turnaround with this one simple movement is the kind of story that keeps me coming to the office at 86. When we started, he could barely lift his legs 6 inches to the side without his whole torso tilting like a listing boat. 3 weeks later, he walked onto the golf course, climbed those stairs to the 9th tee without a glance at the rail, and sank a birdie putt that had his buddies buying the beers. But the real victory came a month after that. James sent me a video of his full swing smooth, powerful, hips rotating like they did when he was 60. He captioned it, "Back to 18 holes. Doc. And I'm not the one holding up the group anymore." That's what happens when you wake up those side hip muscles. They don't just steady your stairs, they steady your whole life. Now, let's make this real for you. Stand up nice and tall. Feet together. Good posture like you're about to greet an old friend. If you need a little support at first, place one hand lightly on a wall or the back of a sturdy chair. We're not leaning, we're just borrowing a fingertip for confidence. Shift your weight onto your left leg. Keep that knee soft, not locked. Now, slowly lift your right leg out to the side, leading with your heel, not your toes. Aim for about 12 to 18 inches, whatever feels like a gentle stretch without straining. No hiking your hip or leaning your torso to the left. Imagine there's a glass of water on your head and you don't want to spill a drop. Hold that position for 2 full seconds. Feel the burn along the outside of your hip. That's your abductor talking to you, saying hello after years of being ignored. Then lower your leg just as slowly, taking another 2 seconds to return to the starting position. Don't let it drop control every inch. That's 1 repetition. Switch sides and do the same with your left leg. Start with 10 lifts per side. If 10 feels easy, wonderful. If it's a challenge, that's wonderful too. Your body is telling you exactly where it needs the work. The biggest mistake I see, and the one that steals half the benefit, is letting your torso sway. People think they're lifting the leg higher by leaning the other way. But all they're doing is cheating the muscle we're trying to wake up. Keep your shoulders level. Your chest proud. Your eyes forward. A little trick that helps pretend you're standing between 2 panes of glass. You can slide your leg out, but you can't bump the glass with your body. It sounds silly, but it works. Patients laugh when I say it. Then they feel the difference immediately. After about 2 weeks of 10 smooth lifts per side, you'll notice something: the movement feels cleaner. More deliberate. That's your signal to add a gentle challenge. Loop a light resistance band around your ankles, the kind you can pick up at any drugstore for a few dollars. Nothing heavy. It should feel like a friendly tug, not a wrestle. Boston University tested this exact progression and found it boosted the exercise's effectiveness by 43%. The band forces those hip muscles to work a little harder through the entire range, building strength. That translates directly to the sideways stability you need on stairs. James started with the band in week 3. He'd do his lifts in the morning while brushing his teeth, band around his ankles, humming along to the radio, multitasking. He called it. By the end of the month, he was doing them during commercial breaks while watching the Golf Channel. 15 lifts per side. Steady as you please. His wife walked in one evening and caught him mid-set. "What on earth are you doing?" she asked. "Keeping up with you," he said, and he meant it. The best part about standing hip abductions is how easily they fit into your day. You don't need a gym, a mat, or even shoes. Do them while the coffee's brewing, while you're waiting for the microwave, while you're brushing your teeth or folding laundry. I tell patients to pick one daily ritual and attach the exercise to it. James chose toothbrushing. Evelyn from earlier chose waiting for her newspaper. One of my patients, Ruth, does hers. During the evening, News 10 lifts every commercial break. She says it's the only time the news feels productive. Aim to do them every day. Unlike bigger muscle groups that need heavy loads and recovery days, your hip abductors thrive on frequent, gentle practice. They're designed to work all day long, keeping you balanced. With every step you take, a few minutes of focused attention is like giving them a daily tune-up. The University of Delaware actually compared daily practice to 3 intense sessions a week and found the daily group made faster, more lasting gains. Your brain learns the pattern. Your muscles remember the strength. And before you know it, that sideways wobble on stairs is just a memory. Let me paint one more picture of James, because it's too good not to share. Last week, he played in his club's senior tournament. On the final hole, a par 3 with a steep cart path bridge to the green, most of the field took the long way around. James walked straight across, hands in his pockets, whistling. His playing partner, a 60-year-old who prides himself on fitness, asked what his secret was. James just smiled and said, "Side lifts. My friend, every morning. You should try it." I got the text from James that evening, won the tournament. Doc. And the bridge. Piece of cake. This exercise isn't about turning you into a bodybuilder. It's about giving you back the quiet confidence to move through your day without second-guessing every step. To climb stairs without the wobble. To walk across a room carrying a tray of coffee without spilling a drop. To dance at your granddaughter's wedding without worrying about balance. It's about stability in the truest sense, hips that hold you steady so your heart can soar. We've got stable hips now. The kind that keep you centered no matter what. But stairs aren't just about holding steady or controlling the descent. They're about the moment you push off one leg and rise to the next. The exact motion you make every time you stand up from a chair. Let's talk about the exercise that mimics that push perfectly. The one that turns getting out of a seat into a superpower. You know that moment when you push up from your favorite armchair to answer the door or grab the phone? It feels like a small thing until it doesn't. Until the hesitation creeps in. The little pause where you wonder if your legs will cooperate today. What if I told you that exact motion is the closest everyday mirror to climbing stairs your body has? Researchers at Duke University wanted to know just how close, so they strapped motion capture sensors to dozens of adults over 65 and filmed them both standing from a chair and walking up a flight of stairs. When they overlaid the data, the muscle firing patterns matched 87%. 87%. That means every time you rise from a seat, you're rehearsing the very push you need to conquer steps, only most of us never practice it on purpose. I keep a printout of that Duke study on my desk because it reminds me how elegant the human body is. It doesn't need fancy machines or gym memberships to get stronger, it just needs the right daily rehearsal. And the benchmark they discovered is so simple, it almost feels like a dare if you can stand up from a chair 15 times in 30 seconds without using your hands. Stair fear becomes a thing of the past. I've seen patients who couldn't do 5 at first, hit 15 in 6 weeks, and then breeze up 2 flights without a second thought. It's not about speed for speed's sake, it's about power. To the explosive, yet controlled lift that carries you from one step to the next. Think about the mechanics for a second. When you climb stairs, your back leg drives you upward while your front leg pulls you forward. It's a coordinated dance between glutes, quads, and core. Now think about rising from a chair. Same drive from the hips, same forward lean, same push through the heels. The only difference is the height of the surface. Duke's cameras caught every nuance. The way the glute fires a split second before the quad. The way the core braces to keep the torso steady. It's nature's perfect, built-in stair trainer. Hiding in plain sight in your living room, I want to introduce you to Linda, a 67-year-old choir director who sings like an angel but had started dreading the 3 steps up to the church platform. Every Sunday, she'd arrive early to practice standing from the front pew, arms pushing off her knees, praying no one noticed. I lead 60 voices, she told me, but I can't lead my own legs anymore. The thought of stepping down after the final hymn without wobbling in front of the congregation kept her awake. She tried cushions, higher seats, even those spring-loaded chairs they sell on late-night TV. Nothing gave her the confidence she needed. We started Linda on sit-to-stands the very next day, using the same pew that had become her enemy. No weights, no gadgets, just her body and a timer. At first, she could manage 8 slow rises with her arms crossed, huffing by the end. But something beautiful happened. By week 2, she was hitting 10, and the choir noticed she wasn't gripping the hymnal stand anymore. Week 4, 12 rises, and she started adding a 2-second pause at the bottom, hovering just above the seat before pushing up. That pause turned the exercise into pure stair simulation, forcing her muscles to work harder in the exact position where stairs demand the most. By week 6, Linda sent me a video from rehearsal, 15 perfect sit-to-stands in 30 seconds. Then she walked straight up the platform steps, turned, and belted out the opening note without a tremor. The congregation gave her a standing ovation, and she didn't need the pew to get up. The National Institute on Aging confirmed what Linda experienced. Adding that bottom pause increases lower body power by 31%. It's like hitting the turbo button on stair climbing. Your muscles learn to explode from the toughest angle, the one where gravity fights you hardest. And because you're practicing a motion you already do dozens of times a day, the learning transfers instantly. Patients tell me they feel it the first time they stand from the dinner table, legs stronger, posture taller. No need to push off the table edge. This exercise is forgiving in the best way. You control the difficulty by choosing your chair height and whether to use your arms. Start with a firm seat that puts your knees at 90 degrees when you sit. Avoid deep couches or recliners that swallow you. The beauty is in the progression from slow and steady to quick and powerful, always listening to your body. I've had 90-year-olds start with 5 assisted rises and end up doing 15 unassisted anyway, grinning like they'd won the lottery. Let me share one more detail that sealed the deal for Linda. Duke found that people who exhaled forcefully as they stood up generated 15% more power than those who held their breath. It's a tiny tweak blowout like you're fogging a window, but it recruits your core and turns the movement into a full-body effort. Linda started practicing her breathing during warm-ups, and the choir thought she was just getting into character. Little did they know she was rebuilding her legs one note at a time. The sit-to-stand isn't glamorous. It won't make headlines or win fitness awards, but it's the closest thing we have to a stair-climbing superpower disguised as an ordinary motion. Every time you rise to greet a friend, answer the phone, or head to the kitchen for coffee, you're rehearsing victory. And when you do it on purpose, with attention and progression, you're writing a new ending to the story your body thought was already finished. Before I walk you through exactly how to do this at home, I want to plant one image in your mind, Linda, at last Sunday's service. Standing tall after the final amen. No hands on the pew. Voice soaring as the congregation rose with her. That's what's waiting on the other side of 15 deliberate rises. Let's make it yours. Let me bring Linda's story full circle. Because the way she reclaimed those church steps is the perfect setup for what we're about to do together. When we left her, she was managing 8 shaky rises from the pew, arms pushing off her knees, dreading the moment the congregation would notice. 6 weeks later, everything had changed. I received a clip from her choir rehearsal. Linda standing center stage, arms relaxed at her sides, rising smoothly from a folding chair 15 times in 30 seconds as the pianist counted tempo. No hands, no wobble, just pure, joyful power. Then she walked up the 3 platform steps, turned to face her singers, and lifted her hands to start the hymn. The director, who used to hide behind the music stand, was now leading with her whole body. I feel like I'm conducting my legs as much as the choir. She laughed in the voice note she sent me. That's the magic of deliberate practice. It doesn't just strengthen muscles, it restores dignity. Now, let's make this yours. Find a firm chair in your house, one that lets your knees bend at about 90 degrees when you sit. Nothing too soft or low. A dining chair works beautifully. Sit toward the front edge, a feet flat on the floor, hip width apart, toes pointing slightly outward if that feels natural for your hips. Cross your arms over your chest or hold them out in front like you're about to hug someone. This keeps you honest. No, using your hands to push off. Here's the key. Lean forward from your hips until your nose is over your toes. Not your back rounding. Just a gentle hinge at the hips, like you're bowing to an audience. Then exhale forcefully like you're blowing out birthday candles and drive through your heels to stand all the way up. Straighten your hips and knees completely at the top. Pause for half a heartbeat. Then lower yourself back down with control. Don't plop. Take 2 to 3 seconds to descend, feeling your thighs and glutes guide you. That's 1 repetition. Start with 3 sets of 8, resting about a minute between sets. If 8 is too much, begin with 5. If it's easy, wonderful. Your body is telling you it's ready for more. Breathing is everything here. Inhale as you lower. Exhale sharply as you rise. That forceful breath engages your core and gives you an instant 15% boost in power. Duke measured it. Patients who forget to breathe, hold their breath, spike their blood pressure, and miss half the benefit. Think of it as singing through the movement. The exhale is your note. Strong and clear. After a week of 3 sets of 8 with good form, increase to 10 repetitions per set. By week 3, aim for 12 to 15. Once you hit 15, clean rises nose over toes. Heels driving. Breath steady. You've crossed the threshold. That's the point where stairs stop feeling like work and start feeling like walking. Linda reached it in week 5. She texted me from the church parking lot, just did 15 in the car before rehearsal. The platform steps, they didn't even register. When 15 feels smooth, add the power pause that transformed Linda's strength. At the bottom of each repetition, hover just an inch above the chair for 2 full seconds before standing. Your muscles will scream at first. This is where the National Institute on Aging saw that 31% jump in lower body power. It's pure stair simulation, the exact position where your legs have to generate force from the deepest angle. Start with just 5 paused repetitions per set. Then build back to 15. The burn is your friend. It's the signal that you're rewriting the rules aging tried to impose. Timing matters more than you might think. Your body's natural power peaks in the afternoon when core temperature is highest. Research shows about 6% more force output between 2 and 5 p.m. than first thing in the morning. Linda scheduled her practice for 3 o'clock, right after her tea. But consistency trumps perfect timing. If mornings are when your schedule opens up, do it then. The patients who stuck to the same time every session, morning, noon, or night, had 40% better long-term results than those who chased the perfect hour. Let me share one more moment from Linda that still makes me smile. Last Christmas Eve, the church held midnight mass. The platform was packed with poinsettias, the steps slick with melted snow from boots. Halfway through Oh Holy Night, the power flickered, and the microphone cut out. Linda didn't miss a beat. She stood from her conductor's stool, 15 practice rises, echoing in her muscles, and projected her voice across the sanctuary. Clear and strong. When the lights came back, the congregation was already on their feet. Not just for the song, but for her. She told me later, I didn't think about the steps once. I just sang, "This exercise fits anywhere. Do it in your kitchen while dinner simmers. In the living room during commercials. In the bedroom before bed. Pair it with something you already love. Your favorite podcast? The evening news. The sound of your grandkids playing outside. Make it a ritual, not a chore." Linda started doing hairs during choir warm-ups, rising and sitting in rhythm with the scales. The singers thought it was part of the routine. Little did they know she was conducting a private rehearsal for life. We've built functional power now, the kind that turns getting out of a chair into a victory lap. But the number one move, the one that stunned Stanford researchers and had them triple-checking their data, is still ahead. It's the exercise that delivers 67% more stair speed in 8 weeks. The one that makes calves, the unsung heroes of every step, get ready. Your push-off is about to get a serious upgrade. Here we are at the top of the countdown, the exercise that stopped Stanford researchers in their tracks and had them running the numbers 3 times just to be sure. When they saw adults over 60 climbing stairs, 67% faster after 8 weeks, with 70% saying the steps finally felt easy again. They thought they'd made a mistake. But the data held. This one movement, done for just 3 minutes a day, rebuilt the explosive push that turns every stair into a launch pad. It's our number one for a reason. And once you feel it in your own legs, you'll understand why. Your calf muscles, the soleus and gastrocnemius tucked behind your shin, are the unsung heroes of stair climbing. They provide 40% of the power that propels you upward, the final snap that lifts your body from one step to the next. But here's what most people miss. It's not just strength they need. It's power endurance. The ability to fire quickly and hold steady through dozens of repetitions. Age hits the fast-twitch fibers in your calves, hardest the type 2 fibers that generate that snap. Without targeted work, they fade, and stairs start to feel like wading through sand. The heel raise with holds wakes those fibers up, teaches them to contract at peak height, and keeps them engaged long enough to carry you all the way up. I want you to meet Harold, a 78-year-old World War II veteran who marched in every Memorial Day parade for 50 years. When he came to see me, the thought of those 10 blocks downtown had him in tears. I carried a rifle through Normandy, he said, voice thick. Now I can't carry my flag 3 steps without stopping. His calves had turned to jelly, and the parade committee was gently suggesting he ride in the veteran's truck this year. Harold wasn't having it. We started him on heel raises the next morning. Using the bottom step of his porch, 10 days in, he called me from the driveway dock. I just walked to the mailbox and back without pausing. Something's working. 8 weeks later, Harold sent me footage from the parade. There he was, front and center in the veterans' line. Flag held high, marching in perfect rhythm with men half his age. His calves pumped with every step, steady and strong. When the color guard passed the reviewing stand, Harold didn't just keep up, he led the cadence. The crowd cheered louder for him than for the high school band. I felt 70 again, he told me later, eyes shining. Maybe 60. Let's do this together. Find a sturdy step. The bottom stair in your house is perfect. Stand with the balls of your feet on the edge, heels hanging off. Hold the wall or railing lightly for balance. But don't pull yourself up. Start with both feet. Rise onto your toes as high as you possibly can, really pushing through the balls of your feet until you're on tiptoe like a ballerina. At the very top, when you can't go any higher, hold for 3 full seconds. Feel your calves lock in, burning with effort. Then, lower, slowly, over another 3 seconds until your heels dip just below the step level. That stretch is gold for flexibility and power. Pause for 1 second at the bottom. No bouncing. Then rise again. That's 1 repetition. Start with 3 sets of 12 using both legs. The tempo is everything up fast. Hold 3. Down 3. Pause 1. Exhale as you rise. Hold your breath gently during the peak contraction. Inhale as you lower. That breath hold at the top creates just enough core pressure to stabilize your whole body. Think of it as bracing for a gentle push. After 2 weeks of double leg raises, transition to the progression that transformed Harold. Weeks 3 and 4, 2 sets of 12 double leg, then 1 set of 6 on each leg separately. Stand on your right foot only. Left foot resting lightly behind your ankle for balance. Rise. Hold. Lower. Pause, zame tempo. Your balance will wobble at first. That's perfect. The shake activates tiny stabilizer muscles that double leg work misses. By week 5, do all 3 sets single leg, aiming for 8 to 10 repetitions per side. Harold hit 10 by week 7 and said the parade route felt shorter than his driveway. A few pro tips to maximize every raise. First, warm your muscles beforehand. Do them 10 minutes after your sit to stands or after a short walk around the house. Cold calves don't contract as fully, and you lose up to 30% of the benefit. Second, rest 90 seconds between sets. Your calves recover differently than bigger muscles. Shorter rests leave power on the table. European researchers confirmed 90 seconds lets you maintain full force through every set. Third, vary your toe position weekly for complete calf development. Week 1, toes straight ahead. Week 2, slightly outward. About 20 degrees, this hits the inner calf head that powers the push-off phase. Week 3, toes slightly inward for the outer head that stabilizes your stance. Rotate through, and you'll build a calf that handles every angle. Stairs throw at you. Harold added one more flourish that became his signature. At the top of each hold, he'd visualize pushing the ground away like he was growing an inch taller. Motor learning experts say this mental cue increases muscle activation by 12%. He'd whisper up under his breath with every rise, turning the exercise into a quiet meditation on strength. Parade day. He did 20 single leg raises on each foot before leaving the house. Flag in hand. Ready to lead. The results come fast. Most people feel a difference on real stairs within 10 days. The push-off has snap again. By week 4, steps feel quicker. Less effort. By week 8, many forget stairs were ever hard. Harold's parade wasn't just a march. It was a victory lap. We've covered the 5 movements that rebuild stair mastery from the ground up. But before we wrap up, I want to show you how they work together. The total time commitment, and the one question I ask every patient that predicts their success. Stay with me. Your staircase freedom is closer than you think. We've walked through all 5 movements together, and I want you to see how perfectly they fit, like pieces of a puzzle your body has been waiting for. The heel raises with holds give you the calf power to launch each step. The sit-to-stands build the functional push you use every time you rise from a chair or bed. Standing hip abductions restore the side-to-side stability that keeps you centered. Controlled step-downs teach the gentle braking that makes descents feel safe. And the wall sit-hold creates the quiet endurance your thighs need when the climb stretches on. Alone, each one helps. Together, they rebuild the complete pattern that makes stairs feel natural again. The best part, you're looking at less than 20 minutes every other day. That's it. No hour-long walks that leave you drained. No gym-fees. No equipment beyond a wall and a step. Just 20 minutes to reclaim the freedom you thought age had taken for good. Here's the truth I want you to carry with you. The stair struggles that come with getting older aren't inevitable. They're reversible. Your body is still listening, still ready to adapt. No matter how many candles were on your last birthday. Margaret racing her granddaughter, Robert carrying laundry without the rail, Evelyn leading hikes, James marching in the parade, Linda conducting without fear, none of them are exceptions. They're proof. Close your eyes for just a second and picture this, your grandchild at the bottom of the stairs. Eyes sparkling, yelling, "Race you, grandma." And you don't hesitate. You don't calculate. You just go legs strong. Heart, light, and you win. You reach the top laughing. Pull them into a hug. And feel the years melt away in that moment. That's not a dream. That's 8 weeks away if you start tomorrow. So here's what I'd love for you to do right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, when was the last time stairs felt effortless? Was it 5 years ago? 10? Or can you barely remember? And which of these 5 moves are you going to try first? The wall sit while your coffee brews the step downs on your porch. Like this video, if you're committing to start this week, it's a promise to yourself, and I'll be cheering you on. And please subscribe, because every Tuesday I share new science-backed ways to keep moving. Keep laughing. Keep living fully. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one. We're talking about 5 foods that can quiet joint pain overnight. You've got everything you need. The movements are simple. The time is short. And your body is ready. Take that first step literally and watch what happens. I'll see you in the comments. And I can't wait to hear about your race to the top.